Here we go. 4 days to go. Regular season action.
Wow.
And then we kick it in high gear for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Welcome into the Real Kyper and Bourne show. Leaf edition this hour. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, and James Wilson. We are live on Sportsnet.
Sis boom ba.
No sis boom ba
We
today.
found
It
a
is
sis boom ba.
It's sis boom ba?
It is.
Why do you have
Sis
Jamie
boom
Wilson
ba.
on for me?
Because I'm bad at my job.
Oh my gosh, you're horrible at your job.
Start of the week here. Let's
Just
roll.
be Sammy.
Sorry, boys.
Get it back on the rails.
It's Sis Boomba.
I'll get
Sis
that.
boom ba.
And I even went in and asked. And he was sitting there. He's like, it's me today. And I was like, hey, it's David. And then I went back and I didn't tell you. So
Sportsnet 590 before I was rudely interrupted with a bad program.
yes.
Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet Plus from 4 to 6. And as always, a reminder, you can download us when you can't catch us live in Texas 590, especially this week.
Yeah?
Yeah,
I got a lot to say, pal.
I know you do.
Yeah.
I know. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners do as well. So we're going to get into it as far as the Toronto Maple Leafs are concerned. But one note at the top of the hour, we're going to welcome in Brian Burke in studio, might I add.
Yeah.
Berkey.
Okay, you made up a bad mistake early by getting Berkey in the show.
Well, I would take credit for it. But I mean, I asked him to come on and I said, do you mind doing Zoom? He said, yeah, no problem. And then he texted me back later. He's like, why don't I just come in? So I can't even take credit for getting him in here.
All
You
right.
know?
It's great having guys in studio, and Berkey's
So there you go.
the best.
There you go.
Okay, here we go. Toronto Maple Leafs lose their second straight game, but it doesn't really matter. We're just all focused on
I think that's the
player,
theme of the show, doesn't it?
one player, one number,
Yeah.
right? And this is where we're at right now. Was it everything you thought of going into the game against Detroit? Was it more than you even thought of? The chase, getting 69 was a great, probably vibe. I wasn't in the building. You guys didn't make the game?
Nope.
Now,
But
on
you
the
can,
couch.
you can sense it. You could have sensed it from wherever you watched that it felt like 70 was coming.
It did. He got to 69, and it felt like every time, like in a home run chase, the guy would come up to bat. You know, like every time he was on the rink, a little more energy. Every touch of the puck, you could hear the crowd a little bit more, and it certainly became the focal point of the evening.
And he scores a goal on the power play. Beautiful shot, beautiful setup. The next shift, I believe, I think Willie hits him down the seam,
Yeah.
makes a great move, tries to slip it 5-hole, and
Almost died.
slams into the end boards harder than I've ever seen him hit the boards. It was
His life flashed before your eyes.
my life flashed before my eyes because I do a Leaf show every day, and we wouldn't be doing one for very long this spring if he had been hurt for any period of time.
Yeah.
So Liljegren leaves the game
Yeah,
for spot duty.
he comes back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Austin didn't leave the game.
I couldn't believe he got up, and he was on the knee for a
No,
while.
I couldn't believe they didn't pull him off.
Hal, you can't score 70 from the quiet room.
But
That's a good point, actually, Kippy.
that whole pulling off and who doesn't go and who goes. What a scam.
You know what? They've never identified who the concussion spotters are.
Where
and good,
is he?
And good
It's
thing.
David Ayers.
But good thing,
He's
honestly.
also, he's also the emergency goalie.
Like, there's like fights where guys get completely dropped and they sit in the penalty box
Buddy,
and stare at their skates and get back
Austin
out there.
Bounced his head off the backboards like it was a basketball.
Yeah. And
Ugh.
Right?
And to be honest, he plays the end of the game and he doesn't get 70, whatever. I was expecting today, like at practice, to be like Austin Matthews absent
Sat
from
it
practice
out, or,
today.
yeah.
Like, oh, a little banged up or something, but
Phew.
he's there and he's okay.
dodged a bullet.
Okay, let's go to our first Kippers Clipper of the week, Sheldon Keefe, on his star player, Austin Matthews.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a major distraction. It doesn't help us, what we're trying to accomplish on the ice. But it's exciting. I get it, and it's especially when he gets to 69, you can see it. It's growing, anticipating, and now you're feeding it. I'm feeding it. I want it to happen. But I wanted it for the fans. But I'm glad the game's over. Let's move on.
Oh, my gosh.
This is going to break him.
What does I'm glad the game's over mean?
Is he going to make it?
What does I'm glad the game's over
the
mean?
End of his rope with this. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
I was listening to the morning show today with Gunnar and Ennis, and they had Frank Cervalli on, and he's just like, is Keefe? Like, it just feels like he's about to pop at any moment.
Well, listen, he had this game plan, and it was a game plan that we had talked for weeks about. Is like not having this thing as a major distraction.
Just don't have it come down to the final game or two.
I talked about this literally.
Can we have the "This is my nightmare" drop? It could not have gone worse for the Leafs on Saturday night. Matthews gets 69, can't get 70. Plays 24 minutes. 2 guys get injured. The goalies has a tough night back-to-back games. It wasn't a good Saturday. Sammy told me to calm down before the show.
Guys, I
got to lay it out there.
Our pets' heads are not falling off. They're in a playoff race. Their good players are okay. All things are good. I think
we can
good team. Very good team.
Calmly say that it's counterproductive.
What is?
The chase for 70.
The chase for 70.
I disagree. I disagree with that.
Did you not listen
excuse me, I have to.
Did you not listen
I shouldn't
to
Yeah, I heard
Sheldon?
the coach.
Sheldon for the last week is saying, everything's great. It's team first, and now he's like,
what do you guys want me to do?
It's out of control now. It's out of control. Like the chase for 70 is like a tsunami to him right now. 1 second he's on a patio having a nice drink. The next thing you know, he's floating in the Indian Ocean.
Way.
It's out of control. And I don't necessarily disagree.
Yeah.
But it's out of control. It's first.
It's out of control.
It's
sure.
first.
But I just have a hard time buying into the notion that they'd be playing so hard and grinding it to the death without the 70.
Definitely not.
Right? I think, if anything, it gives them a little something to play for in meaningless games. That they're trying to get this.
Where do you get meaningless games? Guys are trying to get into the lineup.
They'd be mailing this in 70 goals or not.
Guys want to know who they're playing with, what line they're on.
Yeah.
Their penalty killing stinks. Okay?
Absolutely
Where
reeks.
do people say they have nothing to play for in the last week?
Well, they have little things
besides
to play.
The standings.
70 is to play for. Penalty kills to play for. Those are things to play for. 70 goals is 70 goals.
Those things are a distant second to getting one guy 70 goals.
Of course.
They're not saying that, right? We are saying that that's how it feels. And that's as a product of the fan base, not the team. The team isn't saying this is the most important thing to us. The fans and everyone I talk to.
Can we play Sheldon again? He's basically saying the same thing.
He's blaming the fans.
He's saying that he hates that he can't get out of the way.
It's their fault that I'm acting now like I'm coaching to play this guy to 70 goals.
Heaven forbid the guys who paid $600 to sit in the lower bowls were excited that he might get 70 goals. What a crime!
If I was Sheldon, I'd succumb to the pressure too.
This is. I'm glad you said that.
I would. I'm not the first one to admit. I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying I like it, but I'm saying I get it.
So how would you find a way? It's obviously great, and I don't think it's great that he's done this well. And I don't think necessarily that pursuing this goal, continuing to score goals in 8 straight games is going to make him worse in the first round. It's not a guarantee. But you'd sure like to plan to win the Stanley Cup and to rest guys and take breaks when you can. So I present to you, what do they do the next 2 games? How do you manage 2 hockey games?
You get him to score as quickly as you can, and then you back off his minutes, and then you don't play him against Tampa Bay.
What if he doesn't score against
Then he's playing against Tampa Bay, and you're, again, waving the white flag.
You have to keep him in to chase
I'm
this.
here all day, I guess.
I'm not saying you have to. I'm saying they probably will.
If I'm the coaching staff, if I'm Brad Treliving, if I'm everybody, I'm going to Austin, and I'm saying Tuesday's your last game. Regardless of what happens, Tuesday's the last game you're playing in.
It's not the way it works with those guys. It's not.
But if he's
if
he's as great as a team,
pissed off Matthews going.
He's as great of a team player as everybody says he is, and he's a leadery guy and all this stuff, and they think he needs the rest.
What if you find out he's not?
Well,
but he doesn't want to hang on 69. I'm telling you right now, he'll be pissed if he doesn't close this thing out in 2 games.
So you think he plays Wednesday regardless?
No, I'm saying if he doesn't get it, I think he plays Wednesday.
But if he does, he does.
What about not playing Florida, the team that's going to hunt him like a duck.
If
People
you're
hunt ducks? Yes, they
Austin
do.
and you've got 2 cracks to get a historic number in a Toronto Maple Leaf uniform, do you want to only make it 1?
Don't want to, but I would be understanding. I think I'd be understanding that, like,
But this number's huge to him.
I think it's huge to everyone. I mean, it's not just him. The fans want it.
Yeah,
His
I know.
teammates want it.
I think
I get
90% of our listeners want it. They want him to chase
Yeah.
Harvey.
And you just hope and pray that he's healthy and that the team feels really good going into the game 1 and everybody's happy and everybody lives happily ever after. That's the goal. And you roll the dice.
But
what?
But it's year 8 or 9, 8, I guess, of, not a ton of playoff success. They have said numerous times that team success is what matters most. Consensus is that rest would be better.
I think there's a better...
What if it was Tortorella? What if John Tortorella were the coach here and he said, we're trying to win a Stanley Cup. Personal records be damned. He's going to watch the game.
Matthews probably wouldn't have played 24 minutes on Saturday night if it was John Tortorella.
Definitely not.
Or probably would have been taken out if he banged his head against the wall.
But Sheldon wasn't trying to play him 24 minutes. He was trying to not be in this pickle.
Yes.
He was looking for a get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
He's in jail.
He's in big time jail.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to Sheldon on resting Austin.
Well, I don't think these fans are going to travel us on the road, but we'll make the decision, that we think is best for the team. We got guys dropping right now. We're going to have to dress 18 skaters. So we got some guys that will not be available for us. So that in itself is going to be a factor. And the salary cap is what it is. We can only have so many guys. So we got lots of things to sort out here the next little bit.
So his point is they can't call up American League guys and tack them on because they're up against the cap,
That's so bad.
for the league.
Well, just in general, like, come on. The Toronto Maple Leafs can't even fill out a full roster.
Who you blame?
Oh, the salary cap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or mismanagement of the cap. One of the two.
They managed it well. They're up against it.
All
I
the
don't
good
know.
teams are up. Vegas is 100 million over.
I don't know. Like, you got to see how ugly the story gets. I mean, I don't want to see anybody get hurt, but if guys get hurt and you're overtaxing guys in a meaningless game from a standings point of view, then why didn't you leave yourself wiggle room for this to happen, to dress a full roster?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree just because I think you're trying to get the best roster you can for playoffs, and that involves having all these guys. I don't know how you hide them otherwise.
Well, you got to cross the finish line with your salary cap, and you got to cover yourself in game 81 and 82. And I don't know. I think it's a long shot that, anything happens that's bad.
Yeah.
But it sucks.
The
salary cap sucks.
Yep.
But you're not going to be like, let's manage it so that we can rest guys in the last 2 games of the season. You're going to try to win as many games as you possibly can.
Much like chasing 70, the salary cap is a beast too, as well. So to be absolutely perfect after how many playing days? I don't know, 180?
Yeah.
It's hard. I get it.
I think we all agree, and he made the point, Sheldon made the point there that, like, guys are hurt, going to have to dress 18 skaters. He's going to play against Florida, which I would have loved to have avoided.
It's a terrifying matchup for me.
They're the number 1 defensive team in the NHL. Was that the stats?
Yeah.
Do you want to read those out?
I'm just going to pull it up here quickly.
So not easy to get your big goal against a team that's saying, we want him to play tomorrow against Tampa. We don't want to give him any momentum against us. He's going to be wearing 2 Florida Panthers everywhere he goes.
Yeah, Florida's second in goals against per game, second in expected goals against per game, scoring chances against per game, slot shots against per game, slot shots against per game. They're first in all those except second in goals against. So that's all from Megan Shankar.
There's just one main uniform there that's going to be all over him.
Barkov?
Oh.
Yeah.
Come on.
What do they have combined 10 PIMs, the two of them? What a battle.
You got this close to a 70-goal guy against
Selke front runner.
The best. The best.
Yeah. The table set for a big matchup.
Great.
Right?
Great. Why couldn't that puck just slip through Reimer's pads on Saturday night? I guess we
I
wouldn't have
loved
anything to
your
talk
tweet
about.
when he scored. Was it high glove on
Oh,
Reimer?
yeah.
And there's the Chihuahua with the war scene in the background.
Oh, yeah. It was not.
Good meme.
So just to give you another sense of how important it is for him to get 70, we've talked a lot about Bertuzzi, Matthews, and Domi, right?
Mhm.
But Marner goes right back with Matthews tomorrow night because that's the easiest way to get and the fastest way to get him 70 goals.
And Domi's hurt, so that helps too.
Even if he wasn't, I bet you Marner would be up there with him.
Well, I think
It's
Domi's been unbelievable, Kyper, passing him the puck. He's been just as good as Marner has.
I'm just telling you, that is the number one reason why he's up there,
What?
to get him 70.
Okay.
Maybe that's the incentive to sit Domi. Say, yeah, you just sit this one out.
So
Let
Domi
us know.
plays Saturday.
Mhm.
Why? Why did he play Saturday? He's hurt. He didn't look great. He didn't have great energy. Why did you play him?
Don't know. I don't know.
I-
Would you like a Max Domi update?
I would.
All right. Clip 7, please.
I'm not going to play tomorrow. Wouldn't expect him to play in Tampa either. We'll see. Where he's at with it, but yeah. I mean, we're not going to give you much this time of year, obviously, but we'll see where Max and Bobby both are later in the week.
Was that our Bobby McMahon update?
There's another Bobby making another one.
Okay,
too,
let's
but-
go straight to that and we'll discuss it.
He's not going to play in either of these last two games here, and then we'll just see how he is. We've got a week here before we get going, so we'll see where he's at as that approaches.
He's saying he's highly unlikely to be ready for game 1.
Is that what you hear? Is that what you know?
That's what I get out of hearing Shelby
well done.
Keefe.
Well
Okay.
done.
Well done. Yeah.
Well, then. So,
That's a tough one because he has been big
yeah.
and heavy, go to the net.
What I
shooting
like
the
about
puck.
him is when he doesn't score, he helps.
Yeah. I think, that stretch that he had where he was unbelievable and way above what anyone that expectation. Even without that, he's a really important guy. Just
Useful
size,
forechecker, and
speed,
gets
hit.
on the D side.
He's been helping on the penalty kill here and there. Like, he's a guy that is a playoff type guy that you would like to have at 100% going into the playoffs.
But are they going to get Callie Yarncroc in to be new?
If he
McMahon?
is, he's just under the buzzer.
Yeah.
He'll have to be ready.
He skated today.
Yeah, he's close.
Missed
He's
the-
really close.
Yeah, missed the first half of practice and joined them in the second half today.
I think without McMahon in the lineup, then there's going to be a big push to get Yarncroc in.
Yeah. Yarncroc in.
And this also leaves Nick Robertson in a position to start the Stanley Cup playoffs.
So that's Domi and McMahon and Gregor out. And that would have Robertson in. I got to tell you, choosing between Gregor and Robertson, Robertson's the right choice.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt about that.
Yeah. Listen,
I like Gregor, by the way.
he's Robertson's done great.
Mhm.
He's shooting the puck in the net. I mean, the goal Saturday was a nice one off the rush. The only thing I worry about him is sometimes getting bounced around like a pinball.
Yeah.
That's it.
For sure.
That's the only
I
thing.
will say,
and if you see a playoff series that starts off heavy with tight checking, it doesn't favor him.
And Gregor is competitive and physical. I know he's not big,
So,
but he does run into
Is that enough to make the change in game 2 or game 3 if it's really super tight checking? Or you better lock it up. Is there a chance that this is opened up and the offense is flowing a little bit and Nick Robertson can find his lanes to the net?
I just think there's people saying about this Leafs team, that last year they go 7 straight games scoring 2 goals. They need that one extra goal. Robertson is a guy who can do that. But I do know that game 1s tend to be a little bit physical and heavier. And
I mean, listen, you guys know my opinion on Nick Robertson. I've never been much of a fan of him. I haven't believed him in the past. But if you're not going to give him a game 1 start after all the injuries they've had and and just his production with the limited ice time and all this stuff, like, there's not a ton of guys on the team that's going to be able to score a goal like he scored on Saturday night.
no, and you're taking out
Especially in the
McMahon and
bottom
Domi who
6.
score. So
Yes.
now you want to put that back in. The one thing I'll say for him that he has to learn is, like, little guys can have success in this league. Marner's not a huge guy. But Patrick Kane is another example. They don't get hit, and Robertson hasn't figured out a way yet to stay out of those spots.
He gets hit.
He
gets hit.
Yeah.
He does get hit.
Art,
Do you want to talk about that game other than Matthews? Thoughts on maybe the goaltending?
I didn't notice it was Saturday night.
Didn't come up for you?
Sorry, I just wanted to see how long I can keep you with a straight face. Mid. Listen,
You didn't think it was a big deal?
The two worst players on the ice were wearing goal pads. I wouldn't be feeling great if I'm Detroit with that James Reimer either.
No.
You're not going to give Samsonov any credit for the second and third period?
He made one very nice save.
He cleaned it up big time. The whole team cleaned it up big time.
That's why he cleaned it up, right?
Somebody, listen.
Goalie wins
Stop
or
it.
pitcher wins.
Play the right way. It's what we said all along, okay? Just roll the dice with Samsonov and hope for the best. That was so Samsonov Saturday night. I'm sorry. It was. You don't know what you're going to get with him.
Yeah.
So just do yourself a favor. Do not play him in either game this week.
Ooh.
Okay?
Really?
Yes. Let
You
him
want him
sit.
to go in just...
Let him sit on the last two periods where he feels somewhat good. I would never take a chance of playing him Wednesday night against Tampa Bay so those boys can light him up for 4 or 5 and then go into game 1. Leave him. Give him the week. When he takes time off, it's proven. Get Curtis Sanford in there. Get him refocused. Get him going. Let him sit off those last 2 periods. Don't take a chance of a third bad start for him.
All I'll say, and that's all very well said, Kyper, and I agree, is that first intermission, I was legitimately like, I guess Wall started game 1, like I'm panicked. Like my panic meter was off the charts. But the fact that they stuck with him, and let's listen to the clip from Keefe talking about Sam.
Sure.
Then we'll go from there.
Like the first period, I mean, I should say not even the first period, like it's 10 minutes, and at 10 minutes into the first period, we're up 1-0. Shots are 5-5. We're actually on an odd man rush at that time, and don't manage it well. And then it's 1-1, and then we just were not good from there. But so I don't have any of that on Sammy. He's a reflection of the group. But it was important that we play with some pride, and that's why it was important for Sammy. We discussed, taking him out, and it wasn't unanimous in there by any means about what to do with it. But I felt it was really important to, I felt our team was going to be better, and I felt Sammy needed to be a part of that. And obviously glad that it worked out the way it did, because he was outstanding. And in the end, ultimately, to me, is the reason why we get the extra point.
Will Jones?
I don't care.
Oh.
Doesn't matter. Just not Sammy.
Me and Sammy? Sammy.
I give them credit for not pulling him, first of all, because I would have pulled him. I absolutely would have pulled him.
Anybody, any other coach with any other goalie would have been pulled. Okay? You don't get to stay in the net giving up 4 goals on 13 shots. You don't.
But it worked, Kippy, because now you don't.
It worked.
Well, it did. They got back into the game. He made multiple good saves getting back into it.
Usually it doesn't work.
That's
know
what
that,
I mean.
Right?
Of course.
He stayed in because he's Sammy, and he's so delicate and he's so sensitive that you could not pull him.
Well, then to their credit,
Right?
they read him right.
He deserves.
Yeah.
They went for 2 and converted.
The coaching staff deserves credit, because now if you say what you say, that he's not going to play for the rest of the week, the lasting memory of him isn't getting pulled on 4 on 13. It's them getting back into the game with him playing well.
But you still got a guy that you don't know what you're getting on it.
It was never going to be any different than that. It was never going to be any different than
No,
that.
there was a feel like
Yeah, you felt good about Sammy at one point?
I didn't, but you did. Hey, have I not sat here and heard you? Sammy's back. I feel good about Sammy. Sammy's back.
No.
Yes.
All I said is I'm on board that he's the guy now. I'm in. I'm in. He's the guy you're going to start. It came around that he's the starter. I was never comfortable.
Listen, he can go on a heater. He can come back. He can find a way to get on a streak here. But the way he plays, the style of his play is it's risk reward. It's either go big or go home. There's nothing steady about this guy. Okay? Nothing. So get ready for the roller coaster, Sammy. That's all I'm telling you.
But
From one Sammy to another, get ready for the roller coaster.
goalies are, I don't know. They're the most unpredictable thing in the world. Unless you
Not
have
all of them, Sammy.
Well, yeah, unless you
Not
have
all
5 of the
them.
best ones in the world. Like, I mean, you look across
No,
the
he's a little over the top when it
Well,
comes
look
to
across the league. Like, how many people are super thrilled about their goalie? Like, Bobrovsky last year was the first time he was ever good in the playoffs. Like,
He didn't start playoffs.
He didn't even start playoffs. Like, Colorado, they got a starting goalie that can't make one save. It's just there's.
This guy's got a little
It's
bit
a
more
weak
of a
defensive
he's got a little
Samsonov
bit
that
more of
other
a
people
track
have bad
record.
goalies too.
He's got a. He's not.
I can't believe I'm the guy defending Samsonov.
He's to me, he's not lumped in with everybody else. This guy was waived.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
Waived.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're like praying that he comes back off 2 periods after he's let in 4 and 13.
He can be good.
Okay.
He can be good. And there's other teams that can't say as much.
I'm just roll the dice.
Sure.
That's it.
Sure.
Let's listen to Keefe on cleaning things up before playoffs because Samsonov has been good at when they clean it up, he can get the win.
I think our team has shown that we know how to play, and that's why I didn't have to say much in the first intermission. I like to think when the game matters and it's competitive, we're going to be ready for the moment. And even through this, I think we've this last little stretch. I think we've played some pretty good hockey. There's times when we haven't, for sure, and it's been inconsistent. But overall, I think we've done a pretty good job as a team. So, I hated the first period. Hated the last 10 minutes of the first period, I should say. I thought we started just fine. And, big power play goal gets us going, and I thought we were good in that first 10 minutes. It's almost, Austin hit the crossbar, I believe, and was in alone, and then we got a power play goal. Seemed like one of those nights where maybe our guys thought it was going to be easy, and we know how that goes when that's the case, and that's kind of what it seemed like it was. So it's not going to be much coming easy from here.
It's felt like that for a very long time, eh? Some nights they just think it's going to come easy.
Yeah. Hey,
They can't shake it.
It's a defining trait of this team.
Man, he just made Reimer look stupid on that backhand move where he put it off the crossbar.
Yeah.
Just put it in the net. Oh, come on. Put it in there. I almost swore on radio. I'm so exasperated. Just put it in the net, man.
But it speaks to their comfort zone that if they're off and they're down 2 or 3 goals, they're never out of it, right?
No.
They have that off. It's almost like an arrogance.
And I think that works in their favor, having that sort of belief in themselves to an arrogant degree.
I think it works against them because eventually you don't win that way.
It catches up.
It catches up to you.
Well,
right?
I think when you're behind, it's not a bad spot to be in. I look at this Florida team, and everyone has made such a fuss all year about how they're mean, they're tough, they're mean, they're tough. Oh, look at all the videos. Look how, what do you? What's the word you use about them?
Playing offended.
They're offended all the time. Whatever. Like they're okay. They're okay. Team's good.
Well, they had a stretch where they dominated.
Sure, they
Right.
did.
And then they came back.
Leafs have been the best team in the league for the past 6 weeks.
Okay, so what are you marking at here,
My
bud?
point is that they're a
Yeah.
flawed team like the Leafs are a flawed team.
I don't think they're going to get run out of the building anymore. We've acknowledged that the last couple of weeks for sure.
Yeah. I just, I still feel pretty good about the Leafs going into this series. And I am curious to know how much you want to show them on Tuesday. How much you want to.
They don't. I expect preseason feel.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
I do. Yeah.
I can see
I do.
that.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I mean, what are you going to do? You can't.
I think the 70-goal thing, boys, again, bring it back to that.
No, I'm not.
That's preseason. Chasing the goals for.
Just
It elevates the temperature. They don't want him to get it against them.
That's fair.
We do not agree.
A feel of importance. We don't know what lineups we're going to still see here. So
We got to get to that, by the way.
outside of Austin chasing 70, I don't expect much of a combative environment.
I don't know.
Well,
Really?
You think Florida tries to stuff the Leafs?
I just think that you're about to play them in 4 days, 5 days.
You're onto something here.
They know what's at stake. Austin Matthews, who is on a historic pace, going for 70. They know he wants 70. They want him to play.
To me, it's more, can we hurt these guys before we play them?
Absolutely. Remember we said that the game last year against Tampa wasn't going to do anything, and then there was a hoot nanny.
If
I don't think Sam Bennett and Matt Tkachuk are going to be looking to.
Based on what I saw
spear some guys?
Saturday night or against New Jersey, I don't get the sense the Leafs are heading into that. If it does
but
break
New
out
Jersey
to
doesn't
that,
care.
it'll be because Florida provoked them.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right.
I mean,
Right?
the Leafs want to skate through that game
So-
with blinders on. They don't want any of it. But
Just-
They don't want that.
I don't know. I don't know. I cannot see Florida going after them physically.
I can't believe you're
At this
saying
point.
that.
no, that's crazy.
Yeah. I just watched Florida enough to say either they're hurting a little bit, they're off, but they took their foot off the pedal here in the last couple of weeks. Now it's because it's Toronto, they're going to go after them, or are they going to keep their powder dry until game 1?
No, I think it's
Should we?
We'll see who starts. We'll see what kind of lineup Florida has, guys.
yeah. Well, if they
Right?
want to sit Bennett out in that game, it'd be fine.
That would be best case.
Yeah, that's the one guy that I worry about in a game that's meaningless.
Should we break now?
Yeah, let's hit a break.
I also, after break, want to hear. Sheldon does have a quote on the goaltending plan, which I do want to hear.
It's a short one.
Is it?
We can play it right now.
Sure, let's do it. Goaltending.
Waller go tomorrow, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, thank you.
There you go, bud.
Which means
That's info I wanted.
let's just get through tomorrow night.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, still plenty more to get into as the Toronto Maple Leafs get ready for the Stanley Cup playoffs starting Saturday. Did I get you guys excited?
Yes.
Back after these words. 8 games on tap in the National Hockey League. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. It's the Real Kipper and Bourne show. So it's likely that the Leafs will face the Florida Panthers, but Boston versus Washington tonight would go a long way to deciding that.
Capitals stink.
You give them no shot
They're not
tonight?
beating anyone. No, they're.
You got, I don't know. No?
Are the Bruins going to throw it?
Would you be thrilled if somehow the Leafs ended up with Boston?
No.
No, honestly, I think I've made this point to you guys before, and I think a lot of Leaf fans feel the same way.
You're ready for Florida?
I just don't want to watch a game in that building in Boston. I don't need those colors. I don't need those players. I don't need that. I don't need that.
Hey,
No.
you've been ruined. That's why.
Oh my! I've had too many bad nights
Right.
at that building.
You've been
Too many bad nights, boys.
Okay. Any meat on the bone left for you on Samsonov in terms of, like, we went to break, and the one thing that I said off air to you guys is that perhaps it was less about Wall and Samsonov coming to this conclusion and more of Samsonov. And listen, I don't want to take anything away from a guy that worked his ass off since he came back after All-Star break and put up some very good numbers. But
He's been awesome for a long time.
he has. But can he be awesome when it matters most?
Yeah.
That's
But
all.
He was last year in the first round, and then he went
So-
away.
I don't remember exactly why it happened that they decided Samsonov, we're definitely going with him. But starting at the end of March, Samsonov played on the 28th, the 30th, April 1st, 3rd, 6th, 8th, 11th, and 13th. I think over that time, Wool has played twice. So they just made the decision at some point, we're going with Samsonov. And I think there is a big picture conversation to be had about, should they have done that? Like, should Joseph Wool be sitting there as the defined backup who's played twice in a number of weeks here when you don't know about this guy? May that end up looking bad?
I got to think one very solid start tomorrow night for Joseph Wall would make people feel a lot better.
That's why I'm
We're a lot
not
more curious
That's-
anyway.
Well, I'm not in full panic mode here over the goaltending because I do think Joe Wall is pretty good. And I think that he's been working his way back from an injury. And like Borny just laid out there, he hasn't had a ton of opportunity to really, it feels like they gave him those 2 games right off the hop against the Bruins, like we've talked about. They didn't like the results and they kind of went away from him a bit.
Yeah.
So
Going back to that list of Samsonov games, he's played twice. He played against Tampa Bay and had a tough night, and then had a good game against the Devils in a win.
and he played didn't he play Carolina in the second half of back-to-back and he was good? Feel like that maybe?
Really good.
Again, after
He was a
Edmonton.
953.
Yeah.
That was March 24th.
But I do think that there's a really good goalie in there. And when all is said and done in the big games in the first round, he could be in net.
If he started game 2 or whatever, I wouldn't feel any different than I would feel
Exactly
about going
right.
into Samsonov game 1. I feel the same. You're not sure, but you're hopeful.
Both guys could give you a hell of a game.
You can.
Anybody Ken.
But yeah, Kipper, they don't have
It's like a golfer.
Shesterkin. They don't have
It's like a golfer. Any of them's capable, but can you do it on Saturday or Sunday?
Sorokin ain't walking through that door, pal. Like, it's like there's only a number of guys that are actually really good.
Tiger shot 72 and 82 back-to-back days this week.
Oh,
You can be either guy.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't want to derail this, but that was so painful for me to watch. I had to stop watching Tiger. I had to stop watching.
Stop watching Tiger.
He birdied 5 on Saturday, and I thought he was winning the Masters. And then he shot 42.
I know.
So
Legit
anyways.
was like, oh boy, here he
Sort of
goes.
like your Leaf takes.
Yeah.
They don't age great.
Great. Yeah. Like, kind of like all my takes.
Okay, maybe
Held on to a mean joke.
maybe it doesn't come down to goaltending. Maybe it comes down to defense. And how do you feel? How do you feel about the Leaf blue line going into the last week?
Can't break the puck out.
What's crazy is going into Florida this Tuesday night, they have their lineup right now. Kip, they got Brody out. They got Riley Lyubushkin, Benoit McCabe, Edmondson Liljegren.
We've had this conversation, though, right, about potentially him coming out for game one.
I mean, you definitely had to get Liljegren in again. So it may not be, hey, this is how we see it going, but we just have to get Liljegren going here. Because he almost died again the other day. And kind of see where that's at. So, I mean, yeah, we got to keep an eye on that. That's a debate. And then is Jake McCabe okay?
Jake McCabe.
He took a slap shot or a shot to this region of his.
Oh my gosh!
I think I texted you guys. He's gonna be the first guy with cauliflower nose.
I don't. I'm not sure we got a great replay of it to see definitively where it went.
Not so much here or here.
There's a picture.
Is
It's like through his nose area and eye.
What is his nose made of at this point?
Nothing.
As long as
Gum.
there was no crack or orbital bone or cheekbone or jaw, like that was the biggest fear.
That's what I thought when it happened. I thought it was orbital bone.
He's irreplaceable on the Leafs
Yeah.
Yes.
because he does so much.
Well, so just to go back to the Brody thing and having this look like this right now with him on the outside looking in, like, are you like, I know you've been talking about it and this has been something that you have wanted them to do, but do you really think that he is potentially on the outside looking in when we're talking Saturday night against the Panthers? Like, is this a real possibility?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah?
I do. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I think he's tentative going back for the puck.
Yes.
He's indecisive.
Mhm.
He's unsure. And I just,
What game did we do last week? Who'd they play? Jersey on
Jersey.
Thursday night? He was awful.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
He'd been good the game before that. First
Even,
Jersey game.
the 3-on-3 where it's just one of the worst clears
What was
that
that?
you can. I don't know what angle he thought the puck would somehow get out. I don't know. It was just it was a kind of a feel like a panic reaction for a guy that's played so many games and should be a lot more composed.
You know what I'm not sure of? I'm not sure that Lyubushkin's going to play every game.
Mm-hmm.
The same way with Liljegren on that right side. Like, I could see him coming out for Brody a game or two.
Has he disappointed you?
I don't think he's been as good. He was great at the start of his time here.
Yeah.
First month
Mm-hmm.
was really good. But lately, he's been just not. He's been fine. I don't think he's been bad. But
Gets beat clean.
he does, and you're playing him with Morgan Riley.
Yeah.
So expectations are a little bit different.
It's just seems like it's porous. The defense is the way I can describe it.
Yeah. I did an article last week with Andrew Brewer. We did a chat on defensive zone schemes and who uses what. When the Leafs are in the D zone, among the 16 teams in playoffs, they're fourth best at limiting shots from the slot against when they're in the D zone. They give up some, because their forwards don't defend, they give up some rush opportunities. But once they're actually in the D zone, they're okay.
Yeah.
It's just they do pinch up, right? And that's where they get caught.
It just seems like the puck gets back on the blue line. Teams have time to go D to D and put it through a seam. And it just seems like once it's in there, if it's in there longer than 5 seconds, it's going to be 15 seconds. It's going to be...
That's where Edmondson and Lyubushkin are supposed to help. They're supposed to be stoppers, right? Stop the puck, stop the bodies, and let people come in and dig it out. So,
And I guess because Edmondson alluded to the fact that he would have played through whatever was ailing him when he missed those games. He missed his Saturday night. But this is something you brought up when they acquired him, Borny, as a worry. And it's kind of raised its ugly head pretty quick.
Yeah.
That gets banged up quite a bit.
Well, and I actually wonder if you don't play him tomorrow night and Wednesday, just because you have to get used to partners and, like all the guys on the ice. That was one of the problems, I think, with past Leafs teams is new guys came in, you didn't feel that chemistry. He's only played 8 games as a Toronto Maple Leaf at this point, and everyone's talking about,
Wow.
Everyone's talking about the great game he played against the Oilers, but it's been 7 others.
The other thing, too, with him, I think you got to just manage his minutes, too. I don't think he's in a position anymore to play 24 minutes a night. Maybe some nights you're going to have to ask him in these playoffs, but then it doesn't lend well for sustainability.
But that's when you go through this lineup and go, who's going to play 25? Because you're going to play games that go to overtime, whatever, and it's Riley.
McCabe. Those are the two men.
Has to be there.
And Liljegren. You hope Liljegren can get to a point where he can play 23 minutes.
Don't trust that.
Let's listen to Keith tell us about Jake McCabe's status and his broken face.
He's in the mix and everything that's going on, and doesn't give much for free. And in that case, obviously, he's putting himself in harm's way. And when you do that, bad things can happen, unfortunately. But thrilled that he seems to be okay. But yeah, just another example. I don't know how many stitches that face has taken this season, but it's been a lot. And I don't know if they've been able to talk him into putting on a full shield or not, but certainly did it in practice. But he just keeps on going.
If he didn't put a full cage on when his nose was literally falling off, I don't think he's going to be putting one on for a bruise on his face.
I love this guy.
Special teams. Power play. Looked better on Saturday. Better look, Kip?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thought they actually scored a couple real power play goals.
Matthews is flipped. It's the first time they had him on the flank, on the other flank for a while, which is nice to see.
Marner's warming up now.
He is.
Which is a great sign. I thought he was really good.
Turns out he helps. The power play.
Yes.
Yeah. Penalty kill.
Still a concern.
Yeah.
It is, I highlighted that broadcast we did on Thursday. The reason they had been so much better in the PK of late was Samsonov being better. So when he's not better.
It's the whole game now, to be honest. And like if you go back and you see some of the wins the Leafs had in the last month, it's coming off them seeing bad goaltending. Like they were scoring 4 and 5 on 20 shots as well. So it's kind of it flips sometimes. And no matter sometimes what you have in front, if you have that one goalie that's going to have an off night, you're going to lose on any given night. And I'm watching Colorado the last, 10 games. Gorgiev, buddy, make a save.
Yeah, Winnipeg has to be loving that.
Holy.
I do think that this Leafs-Florida series, which is all but inevitable here, a lot of it could come down to how well Bobrovsky plays. And can the Leafs finish?
Bobrovsky was on fire in the second round.
Yeah, he was
last year.
But the Leafs create offense as well as any team in the league. I don't know where they are, if they're first or second, but you had some of Megan Chayka's.
Let me pull up Megan's chart here again. It's very good. As I pull it up, as in goals for per game, they're second in the league, 3.65. Expected goals for 3.24, second in the league. Scoring chances per game, 17.75, second in the league. Slot shots per game, second in the league. Inner slot shots, second in the league.
Yeah.
They get chances.
They create an absolute ton. And the other team has the best defense in the league, which it's going to come down to, can they put the chances they do get away?
What's easier?
Putting
Being really good defense or really good offense? What's easier?
I think they're both really hard.
Yeah. But so that's...
No, defense is easier than scoring goals.
I think commitment to defense is hard, and scoring goals is hard.
I've always looked at offense as like, or defense is like the burden of proof is on the offense. The burden of doing something. Like, if nothing happens, we're winning. So for defense, you get to just kind of poke and push and keep to the outside, and you got to do something about it. Mm-hmm. And that's tough. So
any
they need to finish chances they do get.
Any concerns on 88, Nylander?
No, I mean, he's not going to get to 100 now. He's at 96 still, right? He's 4 points shy.
Come on.
Yeah,
that guy,
2 games left.
that guy, you know how talented that guy is?
Yeah.
He doesn't care about 70. Holy, he was
four could
firing
happen.
away.
4 points could happen.
It could. That's true. I shouldn't say that. I was thinking it was one game.
He doesn't look like remotely the guy that we saw for predominantly, 50, 60 games there has been a drop off a little bit.
When he's gone, right?
Mhm.
Meaningless games.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Same
will
thing.
say
The exact same thing happened last year.
we could be sitting here. Do you feel like, are you worried?
No, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it's 16 and 34, and he seems to mop up a lot in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
If they see some tight checking, he'll find a way. He's too good. I don't know. I don't know whether or not he's overly thrilled. The last little while playing with Holmberg or.
Well, why would you be?
Yeah,
and I think that a big part of what
you got.
I know he's rich and he makes a lot of money, but he's still a guy. He wants to play with the sick players in the team. He's one of the best players. Why does he?
But I'm sick of didn't you play pro hockey? When do we put the team first? When do we not care about? Oh, sorry, these aren't your favorite guys. They're not children. They're grown men trying to win a Stanley Cup.
Fair.
Go
fair.
play with. I'm sure some great guys on your teams played.
Sounds good.
You didn't play with any coaches that enforced that. But
also played with incredibly selfish guys too.
I'm sure I know that exists too.
Yeah,
but I don't think
exist.
they need to be pandered to.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't think Willie's that guy either. Do we have anything other than raw speculation that he's not happy with playing with these guys?
Raw speculation.
It's just I don't know. He hasn't shot it in the net for a little bit.
He's a little soft on the penalty kill too, which I didn't like.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Which one am I thinking of?
First one? It was with him and Labushkin were twisted.
It was a play off the wall, yeah.
They were both twiddling in circles.
I think you're right.
I am
it was just a play off the wall.
know how often they'll roll him out there in playoffs on the PK. I know you're looking
I
at
hope not a ton.
Kampf, Yarncroc, Marner, Willie's
Yarncroc's going to have to be huge coming in out of the bullpen.
Hope he's on the treadmill or something. Tough cardio. He's played one game in the past 2 months.
He's been out a long time.
Yeah. Out, back for a moment, out again. So tough to have that game cardio up.
Yeah. And you hope that John's feeling good now. I thought his legs have been pretty good the last 2 weeks.
So what do you think for him the last couple of games? Sit one out? I think Sheldon's point is that if guys are hurt, they can't sit guys out.
Listen, I would have liked him to sit game 60 out or somewhere around there. I don't know
he should have sat more.
Going to happen.
I do think you'll see Gregor have a 20-minute game on Wednesday. A couple of guys like that.
Doer.
They're we're going to roll you out a lot. Which good for those guys.
Yep.
Get some reps in there and you're good to go. Last thing we have a clip on is the Leafs' success on the road where they're going to start. They've been better there than at home in playoffs by a great distance.
Kipper's favorite topic.
All right, let's go to it.
It's hard. It's always such a hard thing to put your finger on why that is. We just know that it is been a thing. We've performed well. I think our mindset's been good on the road and maybe not as good at home, and maybe there's different reasons for that. I don't know what you would really be able to grab onto there, but I do know that we're confident wherever we play, that we can have success if we get to our game, and we seem to have been able to get to our game more consistently on the road this season. So, to that end, wherever the games may be played, I think we'll be confident going in with that being the case, and just knowing that we have to have our game in order no matter what building it's in.
Great answer.
You want me to want to hear what he actually should say? Because there's no pressure on the road, and no one expects anything of us on the road, and we can play on the road.
I mean, there's a lot of people that expect the Leafs to win in the first round. Okay?
They're looking at one right there.
Yeah. There is no option. They got to come out. They got to win. So,
I think they will.
Anyway, which way you want to start on the road at home? Make sure you win 4 out of 7 if you have to. Okay, Brian Burke in studio when we return on Real Kipper and Bourne. Don't go away. All right, let's kick it into high gear on the Real Kipper and Bourne show. This is the national edition of our show. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour, Real Kipper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365. In studio with Brian Burke, former NHL executive. Canucks, Ducks, Leafs, Flames, Penguins, and now current executive director of the Professional Women's Hockey League Players Association.
Whalers?
Oh, my gosh.
How would you, of all people? Although you didn't, this wasn't up the top of the head.
I just read the thing. This is Sammy not putting the Whalers on.
You played for me there, for God's sake.
I feel shame.
Well, I know that's going to be put on Sammy at some point. So
For sure. How are you? I think you're fresh off of a trip to Utica to cover the Women's World Hockey Champions, in which Canada won 6-5 in overtime.
Yeah, 2 exciting games. The first one was 1-0 in overtime. U.S. won, and then Canada won 6-5 in overtime. Really thrilling games. I mean, overtime in a gold medal game, as grueling as that is, that's what you want. That's what you pray for. So it was great. And I know people say Utica, not the best, not a vacation location, but what a great setup for a tournament. 3 rinks, beautiful renovated rink, 2 practice rinks, a sport court, weight room. It was great.
It's come a long way since my mid-'80s trips there with the Hershey Bears.
yeah, I can tell you going with the Marlies in 2016, it wasn't a paradise yet. So good to hear they've made some upgrades. That's great. So we've been talking a little bit. We're just coming off the Leafs hour. So just going to, dip our toe back in there in the national hour here and get your thoughts on Austin Matthews' chase for 70 goals, 2 games left, playoffs ahead. Where do you stand on the
What would Brian Burke do in the next 2 games?
Let
with
him
Austin
chase it or
Matthews?
rest him?
No, I'd let him. It's too special a award. It's a level to hit. In my mind, it's and I don't like, Nicky, my view is that players should play. I don't think players should take time off unless they're banged up or fatigued. If it's just a regular grind, that's what days off are for in practice.
Mm-hmm.
Give them a day off in practice, but you work. I like my players to play every game they could. So to me, he plays.
So
then he gets the record in next game, then he can take off.
So load management doesn't exist for you in the National Hockey League like it would, say, basketball?
Load management is called practice. You take practice days off. You don't cheat people who paid money.
Yeah, that's a big thing in the NBA, right? Is there not like a restriction now that they have to play X amount of games? They can't all at once, I think.
It's restrictive, but what garbage? I mean, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you tell players, okay, we understand load management. Players want days off. I get it. So the league has a mandatory day off every week, which when you played, a day off a week, it was more like a day off a month. So we've progressed to that point. They get a day off now. If you want another day off, take a practice day off. You can play in the game.
There you go. Matthews in.
I like it. I would imagine this time of year, Berkey, whether you're working and running a team or where you are, it's an exciting time, eh? The last regular season games and then where everybody slots in, and lo and behold, we can have 2 powerhouses, what we think is a powerhouse anyways, like the Dallas Stars versus Vegas, a potential first-round matchup here. Like, what are your thoughts on that in terms of going big early in the first round?
Well, it makes the regular season extremely important. That's the best part about it is all the games are critical. So players are playing for the right reason. The league does a masterful job of scheduling at the end of the season. They put in all divisional opponents. They put in teams that should matter, and they always end up mattering. So to me, the league deserves a lot of credit. Players deserve a lot of credit, but it is nerve-wracking. I can tell you, having lived through it as an executive, it is tough to watch.
So do you not, I've always felt like it would reward the regular season more if we did 1-8, and you've seen it done different ways. Do you like what they're doing now with the attempts at divisional round ones?
No,
you'd prefer 1-8.
I prefer 1-8, and I want to reseed each round. They should, even with brackets, they should still reseed each round.
Mm-hmm.
So the brackets, I know basketball people like them. Fans like them for betting, for the certainty of who's going to play whom. I get it. I get brackets. I'd rather have 1 through 8. I'm not jumping off a bridge over 1 through 4, but they should reseed them each time. You should get the weakest opponent each time you play.
We're talking to Brian Burke in studio, former NHL executive for the Hartford Whalers and a bunch of teams I couldn't care less about. That was his first trade, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
For you.
For me.
Yeah, that's nice.
Do you remember who you
We're
traded?
going to be on the other side of it.
Yeah, I do. French name.
No.
No?
Mark Hunter.
Oh, Mark Hunter.
Really?
Yeah, with Washington Capitals.
Yeah. But
You never
Nicky
regretted
was
that
really good for me. That was a great year.
Never.
17 goals and 300 PIMs.
Yep.
That's a season.
Oh, that's just old now.
My favorite story is Nicky at the payphone in Hartford, and we're in Toronto in the airport. And I hear Nicky's on the big bank of payphones. Remember that?
Hey,
40
remember those?
payphones?
Yeah.
Remember
And
those?
I actually do.
I heard Nicky going, "No, it's okay, Ma. They wouldn't let me play if I was hurt. No, Ma, it's okay. I love you. I love you." And Nicky hung up. I said, "She better be good looking." And Nicky said, "Berkey, that's my mom."
I got to ask you, in terms of Canada, we've seen a tremendous story in Vancouver. The Edmonton Oilers turned around their season early. The Leafs are the Leafs. Vancouver or Winnipeg with Hellebuck, arguably the best goalie in the league this season. Like, who's got the best chance to end this horrific drought since 1993?
Well, I'm not sure anyone's going to end that drought. That's a much deeper topic. We're having great success with 5 teams, I guess it is this year. Good for the Canadian teams, or 4, and Calgary was really in it till pretty late, so I'd count them as a contender. They got a good young group. I think the issue is the tax structure and the tax differential is still so significant that I'm not sure any one of those teams can come out of it. I hope I'm wrong. The best team I've seen this year was Vancouver about a month ago when they were rolling. The best Canadian team. Winnipeg's been the best maybe the last 4 or 5 games. So it's all, you got to get hot at the right time, Nicky. You know how this works.
Yeah.
So right now, the Winnipeg's rolling, and they look like they're peaking just at the right time. I like their goaltender the best of all of them. So right now, I'd probably pick them. But I'm not going to say any Canadian team is going to win it right now.
No favorites in there. I do want to, we've talked about the tax thing on this show quite a bit. It is a fascinating topic, and Kip has sort of mentioned that it probably is going to create even a bigger disparity as the years go on here, and agents and everyone recognizes the difference. Do you think the league would ever do anything to create, I guess, a more balanced playing field to protect the Canadian teams a little bit?
Well, if you went with a cap where the money spent was after tax dollars, you'd have a great equalization factor right there. So you could only spend what your players take home. Because right now, that's where the Canadian teams are getting killed, and the state tax-free jurisdictions are making a killing. Texas, Nevada, those states, they have no local tax structure to speak of, and that's where the differential kicks in addition to much higher marginal rates. So that would be what I'd say. But to get a change of that magnitude, you would probably have to take a work stoppage. I don't think anyone would be willing to do it for that.
That's got to be a little upsetting for teams like Toronto and Vancouver and New York, who carry the freight on a lot of the revenue created over a season.
Yeah, well, that's why it cracks me up, Nicky. When I heard last week someone sent me a text and said they're talking seriously about a second team in Toronto. And I told the people there, I said, I got to be there. When these teams that catch that check that I saw the Toronto Maple Leafs write for $30 million in revenue sharing to Carolina and Arizona and Anaheim when they were struggling, I got to be there when they all vote to put a second team in Toronto. I got to be in the room. So no, it's a real problem, and it's not going to get better. But I'm not sure there's a short-term solution to it.
So you don't see a second team in Toronto ever happening?
Well, first off, let's step back.
Yeah.
I don't think we should be expanding at all. You know that. You've heard my rant about that.
Well, just the quality of play.
The quality of play, and there's 32 teams. You win a cup every 32 years if you're any good at it. Yeah. Some teams have never won, but it's every 32 teams you get to have a parade.
Yeah.
Oh, let's make that 40. Let's make it 44. Where does it stop? And it's all about money. This is just about money. You can grab the money, grab it. Doesn't matter you water down the product. Doesn't matter the travel gets worse. Doesn't matter you had more games. Because the next thing is they've said they're moving to Salt Lake. If that happens, that's expansion. All right, it's over. The argument's over. That means they've added a team because they're giving Arizona the right to come back in the next 5 years. And they will come back in. That's too good a market. They've mismanaged it, had it in the wrong place. A team in Phoenix makes sense. So it's expansion. Now, what's automatic? If they add teams, they're going to have playoff teams. They're going to do plans, which I think is ridiculous. So I made a vow I'd stop doing this rant on TV.
No, let her
I do this little meme or gif where the guy says, "Get off my yard, you crabby old guy." That's what I feel like. But I feel these are two major mistakes, unforgivable mistakes by a league that does everything so well. I cannot believe we're about to add teams and add playoff teams, and they're both coming. Write it down.
10 years we've been talking, maybe longer, about Arizona and not having either the right ownership or couldn't get the proper rink here. So, I mean, you're watching this thing unfold in the last 7 to 10 days, and what's your first thought? It's about time?
No, I think you should come with an air sickness bag, this whole saga. It's just ridiculous that a city of 6 million people is going to fold and move to a city with 1.5 or whatever Salt Lake City has. Yeah. 1.3 I read yesterday. So getting ready for the show, 1.5. I also remembered Hartford was a team that you worked at, Nikki. 1.5 million, say it's 1.5. So we're gonna give up a marketplace of 6 million people for a marketplace of 1.5 million people where they've never had pro hockey other than the IHL and some AHL teams that were there in the day. Yeah. The IHL before that. Okay, that makes sense to anyone else? Because it doesn't to me. Doesn't to me. Make this guy sell a team, get a new team in the right location, and keep playing.
So this then, more than any other expansion franchise, feels not about the market, but the owner. They seem to really want Ryan Smith involved because it sounds like Atlanta, much bigger market, Houston, much bigger market, Phoenix as well. They just seem to really like this guy, do they not?
That's sure the way it looks.
And how does that make sense for them? They just trust that he'll be able to pony up the money when time comes, so go for it?
I don't get it. All that does is, okay, so you can pass the test at a meeting by being a good guy, and you can say he's a good guy. When he starts writing big checks, if the team loses money, is he still a good guy?
Yeah.
Because I've seen this movie before where people buy a team because they want to be popular. They want to be the big guy in town. I've seen that movie.
Is it
you and I
in
lived
Ottawa?
that movie.
And now it's that movie's not ending anytime soon here because now there's there's talk out of Houston now. They're pushing really hard, and you know, whether it's Salt Lake City or Houston.
I know it's $1 billion a team times 4. How can they say no to this? These guys will dislocate their shoulders voting for this. And then we go from 32 to 36.
Alan Walsh said it could be $2 billion a franchise.
$2 billion. Okay, even more. Now they'll dislocate both shoulders.
Our show is live coast to coast across this country now. Every Canadian from both sides are watching right now. How should they feel about all of this in terms of watching Gary bend over backwards for every billionaire who wants to put a team somewhere in America? And we're sitting up here, and I got to tell you, today, after watching everything in Arizona, I'm really nervous for Winnipeg here in the next couple of years. I'm scared for Winnipeg right now.
See, and this is, first off, I wouldn't blame Gary. This is an ownership level thing. This isn't Gary. It's not going to throw a rock at Gary Bettman over this. This is inexorable pressure from ownership. I can go to the bank. I don't have to bring a mask. I don't have to bring a gun. I can get 1/32 of $1 billion plus. I can do it twice, maybe 3, maybe 4 times, and the union doesn't share in that money. I'm voting for this. This is done. There's no question in my mind. The news out of Arizona just confirms this for me. I've been saying this for 2 months now. It's not appropriate, and it's just a money grab. If the league announced that they wouldn't expand for 20 years, you couldn't buy an expansion team for 20 years, what would franchise values do? They'd triple.
Through the roof. Yeah.
They'd triple. So that's where you can make the money, in my mind. Keep your number manageable. They're going to start having parades for teams that win divisions when they get up to 40 teams. You're going to play teams every 2 years.
Playoffs is like winning a cup.
Yeah, getting in.
Getting in.
A couple of gates.
And that's going to change. And the plan's coming. This, I feel like, again, Cassandra, you read your Greek mythology, she could foretell the future, but nothing ever happened. never came true. And so she had to predict these awful things that would happen, and then they watch them happen. That's what I feel like. I feel like Cassandra. This is a mistake, and it's going to be followed by a bigger mistake by increasing the number of playoff teams. And everyone's going to say it's great, and it's not.
Well, so I love the idea of a play-in. Like, I think, there's all these teams.
You would.
Well, I know. Well, hold on now.
Where everybody gets a medal.
Listen,
Yeah,
you know what? Everyone
participation.
blames my generation for that. It was our parents who gave us the medals. It was your generation.
We're such idiots.
Yeah, but if you had play-in games, you're looking at Washington, Philly, and like St. Louis, Arizona, St. Louis, Minnesota. Like they're bad teams.
But guaranteed
bad
sellouts.
Yeah, you're right.
Do you think St. Louis is a bad team?
I don't think St. Louis is
I
bad.
thought you were using that as an example
I
of how
was.
there's some decent matchups.
But Philly's no good. Washington's not a very good
Philly's
team.
I thought you were going to make the other point,
That they're good teams.
That they're good teams.
I
And
don't
there's
think they
some
are.
compelling matchups. Good. Because I think that you could get some compelling matchups. You get playing games where you got one game, it's a one-game knockout.
Yeah.
You're going to see some good games.
Yeah, okay.
Like the product is going to compel a good result. That doesn't make it right. Doesn't mean we should vote for it. So you get one more meaningless game to totally dismantle the value of the regular season? No.
Now you can finish 20th and get in a play-in game by the math, right? If you
Yes,
had two aside.
participation medals.
Yeah.
Speaking of suspect competition, maybe we're watching a bit of a snail's race here in the Eastern Conference for a wild card spot, including your old club, the Pittsburgh Penguins, that Sydney put on his back and is absolutely carrying him. Who ends up with the final spot here, Berkey?
Well, it looks like a turtle race till the end, and then Sid really, truly has been dragging that team along.
Mm-hmm.
And they hit a bit of a bump the other day, but no one's noticed the Islanders seem to be doing the same bloody thing.
Yeah.
And
Patrick
they won 6 in a row, and that's the key right now. It's Winnipeg going into Colorado and spanking them. That's the key, is to be hot when your team is going well, not the rest of the time. And the timing of this is critical. So to me, now they still got a week to go, still got 2 games to go. I know everyone thinks, oh, you want Pittsburgh to lose because they fired you. Well, I don't really want ever root against Sid or Chris Letang or the other guys, Brian Russ, the other guys they had there. I really respect and admire those guys. So I'm indifferent on the race, except that people I care about are in it. So to me, I've been watching it with great fascination and interest. But the team to watch for me the last week, 10 days, has been the Islanders.
Yeah. I mean, they look noticeably different since Patrick Roy's come. A lot of their defensive numbers are a lot better. Like, I don't know if it's as simple as goaltending, but Varlamov has helped them out quite a bit. Like, if they feel like a team that in a playoff series could at least make it difficult on someone.
Well, in the style they play, they're designed for playoff success. They limit good chances. It's not scintillating.
No.
It's not exciting. It's not.
It's Lou Lamoriello hockey.
It's Lou Lamoriello hockey. But
Plus, Matt Barzal. He's just like tacked on.
as Lou mentioned to me one time when we were all whining about the trap, Lou said, Brian, before you guys yap about the trap, I should notice that my teams that won 3 cups, led the league in goals scored the 3 years they won the cup. So
That is
maybe
a missed story.
Yeah, it is a missed story. So it's not as bad as you think, but it's not scintillating. And it does lend itself to playoff success. You limit the quality chances. It means you got to dumb it down a little bit and play a little conservatively. But I think they've started scoring goals in bunches, and Barzal is an X factor for me.
A lot of talk, especially with the MVP race. And, Austin's pushed hard here, close to 70 right now. So he's in the mix. But we've got 4 great seasons in front of our eyes with McKinnon, McDavid, Austin, and Cooch, of course, in Tampa Bay. What's the differential for you? What is the difference between one winning or one coming in 4th place?
Well, I think all 4 of these guys have been major factors in their team's success. In my mind, Tampa's turnaround has been fueled by Kucherov. You look at McDavid, he turned their team around in Edmonton. Matthews has been quietly great all year, doesn't matter what his line mates are. So I think there are 4 great names in there, no question. And McDavid or McKinnon has been great all year, and he's the most exciting player probably of the bunch, most explosive. But to me, I don't know how you debate this with Kucherov being, except that no one likes him. Kucherov is quietly, I think he's 40 points ahead of the next guy. The next guy's not some bum. It's not Brian Burke. It's Braden Point, who has not got 40 points. He's got 75 or 80 points. So, he's 40 points ahead of the next best guy who's in the top 10 in scoring. I don't know how you discount that. I heard Marty Braun talking about this last night, and I agree with him.
Yeah, Kucherov is now 52 points up on Braden Point.
And
his
what's
second
Braden
best.
Point? Where's he?
89.
89 points. So
Yeah.
he's not
What a horrible
Brian
season.
Burke.
Yeah, he's having 45 goals. Point has.
So he's 50 points ahead of a great player having a great year, and not some stiff.
Yeah.
Like I know other teams have said that, well, he's 40 points ahead of the next guy. Next guy's got 50 points. Well, big deal.
Right.
This kid's having a great year, and he's a great player. So to me, it's Cooch. Now, 70 goals is 70 goals. I don't know how you ignore that if you're a voter. I'm glad I don't vote. But to me, it's Cooch.
So, one thing I think with the way you build teams, I think of the Phil Kessel trade and saying, like, you have to have elite talent on your team to win. You look at all the guys we just named, all these teams are in playoffs, and these guys are making a big difference. Crosby dragging a team to playoffs himself. How do you look back at the decisions you made as a GM to go out and pursue, the hunt to get both the Sedins, the elite guys, and the difference those kind of players make?
Well, Phil was a little different because we didn't lottery protect Phil, which was a horrible mistake in retrospect. Yeah. And I've said that publicly many times. Phil was great for us. He did everything we asked him to do, but we didn't lottery protect the pick, because frankly, we were at Christmas time, we were in a playoff spot.
Yeah.
We had that horrible 18-wheeler going off the cliff.
Yeah.
So actually, you look back on it and you say, well, you should have lottery protected it. Back then, not a lot of teams didn't bother, didn't do it, and we thought we were in good shape. But to me, you can't win without star players. And in Toronto in particular, I felt we had price fatigue. I felt that we were charging so much for tickets, not having success, not having any star power. So we brought Dion in, brought in Phil. Now all of a sudden we got some recognizable names, and people appreciated that.
Yeah.
So to me, I don't think you can win without star players. It has been done. I've had people send me texts and say, this guy, that guy, this team won with this. But the fact of the matter is, most great teams have great players, and you can't win without them. And I would always believe that. So the Twins, before the Twins, we had the triple crown line, or whatever they call them, West Coast Express, Naslin, Bertuzzi, and Morrison. Had the Twins, got Pronger and Hartford before that. I've always been fishing with big lures.
So do you like the way Vegas has gone about winning their cup and building that team?
Yeah, subject to the question about the LTIR. This is something, to me, I've been asked about this on the radio, and I've said the same thing every time. If it's permitted by the rules, I'm okay with it. As long as the league signed off on this, I'm okay with it. That being said, maybe we have to look at it in the offseason and say, don't whine about what Vegas did. If it's permitted by the rules, it's permitted by the rules. You can't say, oh, but they shouldn't have got that guy. If the league said it's okay, I'm okay with it. And good luck on them. I don't like changing that many players that late. I think it usually doesn't work, but we'll see. We'll find out the hard way.
The stars have to line up a little bit for you here, too.
You also need someone on board, right?
You need, Mark Stone could have said, no, I don't want to go on that long term. Or, maybe it was to the point where he thought he was legitimately out for 6 months and he's not. I don't know how it works, but it takes many people to kind of
make it happen.
Dance.
It's a system issue, though, Nikki. To me, that's something the league and the union have to work out after the season. It shouldn't be a topic of conversation now. Well, how come Thomas Hertl is playing? How come Mark Stone came back early? Well, he had a lacerated spleen. I'm pretty sure you can't lie about that on a medical report. Pretty sure they've got a picture of it somewhere of the imaging. Sure. He's got a lacerated spleen. No, to make that up, they didn't say it's a sprained ankle. They said it's a lacerated spleen, for God's sake. So to me, deal with those system issues if you have to. And I'm not saying you don't have to. Maybe they're $20 million over right now. Maybe that's not right. We got to fix it, but let's not worry about it tonight. Not talk about it with should Mark Stone be skating or not.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you're just far less cynical than I am, which I'm surprised to find myself saying. But, the idea that Stone, I think you can say, push the return date, right? You can change the return date. Maybe he would have been ready 2 weeks ago and you just kind of hold the guy off. But I guess you can't say, as a league, force a guy to get a test.
But if he says he's ready and the doctors say he's ready, that to me, so he's beating the system. That's what we want players to do. Yeah. We want players to beat the return to play date if they can without violating the doctor's orders. But if a guy, how many times have you seen that, Nick? A guy says 6 to 8 weeks and he's back in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Because he works hard. Because he pays attention to detail.
But that never happens with a team like Vegas where they acquire players to make room. Like, had Stone got healthy 2 weeks ago, what would they have done?
Well, Kucherov got healthy, right? He played his first game in the playoffs. So
Yeah.
If you're a cynic, you can be cynical. Go back 3 years to be a cynic.
Yeah.
Got to ask you, going in next Saturday, who do you like?
Next Saturday. What's
the
next
playoffs.
Saturday? Oh,
Start of the
playoffs.
Stanley Cup playoffs. What team do you like?
I don't do predictions. Teams do I like?
Do you like Vegas over Dallas, the blue line?
Tom Ghilardi is such a good friend. He would never forgive me if I picked Vegas over. Vegas was the best team of the year earlier in the year for about a month, I thought, and they got better. The deadline, the acquisitions they made at the deadline, didn't put them over the top for me. They weren't like, oh boy, it's a 50-goal scorer, but it's Tomas Hertl, who's a pretty good player.
Yeah.
And Noah Hannafin. He's not a number one defenseman on my team. He's a 3 for me, but he's a quality 3. Big guy, can skate, good guy. So, yeah, I think there's lots of teams who can win it. It's about being hot at the right time. I don't like Vegas' goaltending. I don't. I think they fluked out. The one goalie got hot last year. Wasn't a fluke. I'll get people calling me. He was great, but I don't think he can do that again consistently.
I got to ask you before we let you go, and this has been fantastic. Thanks for coming in. Just goaltending in general, there seems to be over the last few years less of an importance, less of of putting your cap money in it. Is it finally waking up to a position that wasn't never as important as we thought it was, or just the economics of the salary cap has pushed it to? I can't trust my instincts on it anyway, so why commit so much money to it?
I think it's a combination of all of those things. I think right now it is. A couple teams have done it by just drafting big goalies and seeing who can play, who turns into a player. So many of these guys weren't starters and have turned into starters or got starters' jobs. And so you say to yourself, at the draft, you're like, well, we're not drafting Carey Price where we drafted him 5th overall. We're going to take him in the 3rd round. And if someone else takes another, we'll take another 6'4" guy.
Yeah.
And we'll just keep throwing numbers out there like they did in Vegas. They got 3 reject goalies and or 2, and one of them won a cup for them. So to me, I think it's a combination of all those things. If you can save money, it looks like you should be able to save money on goalies. If you're right, I don't think Toronto feels that way right now.
It's going to be interesting to watch this thing play out in a very short period of time. Hey, thanks for joining us.
My
come
pleasure.
back.
It was Hartford,
Thanks,
by the way. Hartford.
The Whalers.
Sean Burke. We had Sean Burke.
Sean Burke.
You guys were ahead
Big,
of your
strong
time.
goalie, right?
Just put the giant guy in net, the giant equipment. Good idea.
All right. Thanks, Berkey.
Thank you.
We
Thanks,
look
pal.
forward to you in the coming weeks coming back and sharing your thoughts on the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Berkey.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get our boy Sammy in for game time. You're watching and listening to The Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Welcome back into The Real Kyper and Bourne Show. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, and back in his regular spots, Sammy McKee, who just listened to a lot of Brian Burke opinion.
Love it. Fired up about expansion and how that shouldn't happen. And it's not old man yells at cloud.
No, it is
He's
not.
Right. He could not be more right. He was preaching.
It's mostly 32 old men who own sports teams being greedy and actively sabotaging the quality of hockey.
Yeah, he made a really good point about leaving a market like Arizona for a market like Salt Lake City.
Jumped out to me.
And I didn't,
think of it like that.
I didn't think about it like that either. And it's like, okay, you've committed 20 plus years in Arizona. And what was the biggest issue?
Well, just bad
2.
rink location, really.
Yeah.
Also, the team was never any good.
Couldn't find an owner, a good owner, who could build you a solid facility in the right spot.
They just never had
That's
success,
not-
man.
that's
If they
not
won
it-
for a minute, it might be different.
That's not Arizona Coyote hockey fans' issue.
No.
That's not their fault.
Credit to those people who are still Coyotes fans. They have been through the ringer, and to still be a fan is a
And they're hurting
testament to
right
their
now.
commitment. Yeah.
I will say, I can't imagine losing a professional sports team.
Well, and you would have punted on being a fan of that team long ago.
Let me tell you
No, I
something.
wouldn't have.
I grew up
Buddy, I
like
was a Leaf fan for all my 20s.
Me
They
too.
were awful.
me too.
I mean, the threats to leaving. and
Oh,
all,
yeah.
My first love affair was with the Toronto Maple Leafs, 7 years old, right? Sittler, McDonald,
Yep.
Palmatier. Like, for me to think about my childhood without them or them moving would have devastated me.
Yeah.
100%.
And there's
It
a
would have
lot
been-
of young hockey players in
It
the
would have
state.
been like It would have altered my life.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And in all honesty, thank you from the bottom of my heart, Arizona Coyotes, for Austin Matthews.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That the truth.
Thank you. I will always love you.
Matthew
Always.
too, while you're at it.
And Derek buzzed in my ear and said, "Nice,"
Yeah.
but less so.
Yeah.
But Matthews, I thank you very much. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's game time, Sammy.
It's game time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds to find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Now, I know everyone loves when we talk golf, so I thought even after the Masters, I would bring up some golf in game time.
Yes.
So Scotty Scheffler gets it done yesterday.
Congrats to Sammy.
Yep, thank you. Won some
Adam,
money.
Kind of
That's-
took the edge off of it.
Well, there was a moment
He was
there.
too good.
There was a moment
There's
there where
four
it was,
people tied at -6,
Yeah.
and then there wasn't.
Yeah, it was like, this is about to be the 86 Masters.
Yeah.
And then it was like, wow, it's not good anymore. So it was really good. But so Scotty wins the Masters. And now you can bet on Bet365. You can go to the specials under golf, and you can bet on players to win 2+ majors. So for the whole season. And Scotty Scheffler's already done that, obviously. He's won 1 major, so he needs to win 1 more for this bet to hit. His odds to win 2 majors, so that him to get one more,
of 3.
he's plus 100.
Even money.
British
Even
Open's
money.
next, right?
No, it's last. It goes PGA Championship at Valhalla,
Oh, okay.
U.S. Open
All
at
right.
Pinehurst, and then I think Carnoustie is the Open.
Did
So-
they change that?
It used
The
to be
PGA
Yes.
Championship
Used
used
to
to
be
be
last.
last.
How long ago?
No one cares about it.
2 years,
Okay.
2-3 years, yeah. So plus 100, even money to get 1 more. And if you
hit the golf ball this far from the hole from everywhere in the golf course like him, you're going to win some championships.
If you want 3 majors this year, it's only plus 650.
That's a bad bet.
And to win 4 majors, it's only plus 3,300, 33 to 1 to go for the career Grand Slam this season. So there's some numbers on Scotty Scheffler that I thought I would bring up with you.
Okay. Was he serious that he was willing to leave if his wife had a baby?
This was a running argument with my wife and I
Okay.
watching.
Okay.
I don't believe him.
I'm not an expert in pregnancies, okay? I'm not going to go out there and say that I'm not. But isn't it 3 weeks? Like everyone's like, she's due in a month. It's like she's due in 3 weeks. Of course it could happen, but like it wasn't imminent.
Oh, I didn't realize it was 3
First of
weeks.
all, the
He's
first
got
kid.
so much good guy, goodwill.
The first kid, she could be in labor for 27 hours. You know how many rounds I could get on my first kid?
Well,
I could have got 3 rounds in.
Can I just back this up and say, if the baby was going to be born and he was leading the Masters going into Sunday, sorry, I'll see you the next day.
Well, I mean, it's Augusta National. You can't even get cell service. So
3.6 million, Masters champion. Like, you can put your family in a better position. Then the baby's not going to remember. He doesn't know you're not there.
Listen,
I was there for the record.
if I ever found out that my dad chose me
To be there.
in the hospital
Instead of winning the
over
Masters.
winning a green jacket, I would shoot him.
Yes,
The
you
only
would have
thing-
affected your whole life.
the only thing
We
is,
do not agree.
What is
if you're
your
going to miss it, you better win.
You finished 4th.
Well, it's like,
But, I said to my wife, both our dads played for the Islanders. Like, I don't know that they were there. I think, I think.
I don't know what year. Like when was the
Crease is
cross
over there,
line
right.
when like you missed games for it didn't happen in
Right.
You would have been like you talk to some of the alumni like I do.
Yeah.
They laugh.
They missed a
They
game
laugh.
for the birth of a child. They'd be like, was he delivering it? What happened? Why did he miss it?
Exactly.
Yeah. And for
Right?
the record, our dads were there.
All right.
Actually,
and that was game.
thanks to Bet365.
So, I mean, he's on 13. He's 3 strokes up. It's like, well, I got to walk back to the clubhouse
Yeah, I'm
anyway.
just gonna hit this thing in the hole on the way in if you don't
might as
mind.
well.
How did game time go to like delivery rooms?
Can we get odds on the gender of his baby?
But he's listed amongst the players this week because it's at Harbour Town. It's another elevated event right away. So it's like, we're going to do this all again? I don't know. Anyways, that was Game Time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds. Find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Dairy only. Please play
Okay, for
responsibly.
the record, we've never gone into a game time with more influential games to the Stanley Cup final.
Just a massive night.
And you don't mention one of them in game time.
Well, that's where we got our beautiful news and notes segment, bud. What game would you like to talk about?
Buddy, there is absolute massive playoff implications for tonight.
Massive.
I don't let this turtle race be over with and let the big boys start here. I
No,
don't care.
but it
Hope it's
affects
bigger
your
than
Toronto
that.
Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
Right? If
Rangers.
Washington beats Boston,
Right, yeah. The Leafs have to play another team. They're going to be underdogs too.
all right,
Nothing matters.
nothing.
I'm the goal with the
Devin
Sharks.
Cooley. Did you see the quotes from Devin Cooley?
We're all gonna
from
die.
San Jose.
Yeah.
He was like, I just tell myself nothing matters. No one cares. We're gonna die anyway. Like after every shot.
That's how I feel
matters.
after I watch every Leaf game. Actually,
I'm with them with that. No one cares.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
at the point in my life when I don't think anybody cares.
It's actually the only reason I feel remotely comfortable doing this job is I don't think anyone actually cares. I don't believe it. So I just say
Right?
things and send them out there. Yeah.
At least he didn't say that we're all a bunch of molecules bumping into each other in outer space.
Yeah, but which
I
is
mean, that was close. That was probably the next thing on his
which is a valid
on
point
his mind.
too. You know, and he plays for the Sharks. He's like, what am I going to be nervous? Like, does this game matter? They want us to lose.
I like this kid.
I do too. It's very like punk rock attitude.
speaking of those Sharks, they're plus 425 against the Edmonton Oilers tonight. Minus
I'm good.
575 if you want to bet on
Although
the Oilers.
McDavid's not playing, right?
Oh, he is.
Matt
he is.
McDavid's back in.
Okay, he's
He is
back.
playing.
All right.
So that was 2 or 3 games he missed.
3.
Yeah, that's maybe 1 for
Spleen
like
issues?
the tiniest little problem, and 2 for like don't worry, we just rested you.
Yeah. I mean, peak McDavid coming into round 1. So looking at the potential playoff matchups as of today, are you guys okay with having this chat now?
Would love it.
So Boston Bruins, Tampa Bay Lightning
Yeah,
is who's the underdog there?
In Vegas, it will be the Tampa Bay Lightning. I would say probably plus 125
And
in
you
the
think
series.
probably in reality 50-50 series?
I would pick Lightning.
Yeah.
I
You
think.
Kip?
I'm lending towards Sammy here with the Lightning. I just I don't know. Boston's. I know Tampa Bay's defense isn't
Not great.
great, but I'm not sure where I sit with. I guess McAvoy and Lindholm.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But Tampa's forwards are just, to me,
Yeah,
that
it's-
much better than Boston's. Let's go
yeah,
west.
that's
Let's
a flip 'em.
talk about our Canadian teams a little bit. Vancouver Canucks most likely to play the Nashville Predators in round 1. Is Nashville, who's been smoking hot
Yeah,
since the deadline,
I
a
think.
threat?
I think this has upset written on
Oh
it.
my God, not a chance. What
That
do you-
sound you just heard is everybody in Vancouver on 650 crashing into the seawall because Nick Kypreos and Toronto said they're going
I
to lose
don't
the
know.
Preds.
Where's Thatcher?
I think it's gonna-
Thatcher's just going to come out of the bullpen and save this series.
yeah. It's not.
It's hard.
It's not an easy series.
I have been a Preds hater for as long
Yes.
as they have been hot. I am not. They've cooled off since then. You just look at their roster. It's not there. They're not the Canucks.
I know, but they got these guys like
Bannon 5.
like Gussie Nyquist. You wouldn't
Yeah.
look twice at him. The
It
guy's
would
having a
make the
career
Canucks.
year.
Yeah, they've had
Guy's
guys
like
who've had good years.
33, 34. He's got 70 plus points already. It's like,
But that's
buddy,
what makes
where are
me
you coming
skeptical
from?
of them. Is like this doesn't seem sustainable. The Oilers Kings. Any chance the Kings can?
no. You cannot bet against McDavid this year in this round.
The reason I feel like, if you were to make a case for Nashville is UC Saros. Cam Talbot, to me, is not going to steal one from Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
Agreed.
I don't even think that one is particularly close. But I do think Vegas would give them a push were that to end up being the series. Right now it's Vegas, Dallas, and then Winnipeg, Colorado.
I am not a Georgiev fan.
No.
And I think that's the one thing that is going to hold back. They've lost 7 out of 10 or something.
And given up a lot of goals.
Yeah.
I think with Hellebuck,
although they had
forwards that deep,
the year they won the cup, I think they had a bad finish to the season too.
did they?
Yeah. And then they had a good one last year, and they got knocked out, didn't they, by Seattle?
Mm-hmm.
Am I right?
Yeah, they did lose to Seattle
Yeah.
first round. Yeah.
So I don't know. And again, it's Nate Dogg.
Old Sportsnet going to be rooting
And
for
they're,
our Canadian teams. I can tell you that.
yeah. So
I'm not sure if there'd be a bigger position-to-position mismatch in the first round than Georgiev versus Hellebuck.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, that is a huge
And in this corner,
difference.
yeah.
That's a huge difference. So,
Series could tilt on that. Back to the East.
God,
Leafs, Panthers.
Colorado has been bleeding goals. Like,
What do you got?
it's just 6, 7, 5,
Ew.
7, 4.
Yeah, that's
Go
not
back
good.
1, 5,
That's not
4.
good.
Like, it's 4 to Columbus loss. It's not been pretty for a while here for them. Since the start of April, it has been awful.
All right, it's a good
we'll
sign.
see. It's a good sign.
Leafs, Panthers, Rangers, Capitals.
Yeah.
Rangers, Capitals. Carolina Islanders on the other side.
Yeah, those are a lot less
Ugh.
sexy. The East is a lot less
Well,
sexy
the
than
Capitals,
matchups.
someone's got to take that spot.
Well, who?
Pittsburgh,
is this a
Detroit.
Daryl Sutter waste of 8 days?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
For
it
any
is.
of those teams playing the Rangers, they're going to get filled in. Feels pretty inevitable, does it not?
Yeah. I look at Detroit and I'm like, you need James Reimer right now?
What does that mean?
Well, you need him to be great now, and I'm not sure that's capable. You're
Mhm.
capable of, even if you make the playoffs,
Yeah.
I cannot see their goaltenders.
But he made a couple pretty good stops on Saturday. You know, he robbed Matthews a couple times. I thought he was okay, better than he is in.
No.
He's okay,
They-
Kipper.
Him and Sammy were horrible Saturday.
The
night.
one game I'm watching tonight is I am rooting really hard for the Ottawa Senators to beat the Rangers because you could get a Islanders-Rangers round 1 matchup, which I would absolutely love, and I like more for the Islanders than Carolina, who has Columbus to finish their season tomorrow.
That would be fun.
Be a good series, too,
You think?
because I also don't love the Rangers. I know they're
I don't know. Shesterkin seems to be solid again.
all right.
So there you go.
Let's go around the league
And
here.
you think the Panthers are going to beat the Leafs?
I do not.
I meant to say
Did we
the other way
do?
around.
Did we do
Leafs, Panthers.
Dallas Vegas?
We didn't give any predictions or anything. Do you have a pick
No,
in that
I'm
one?
just like. First of
I
all,
glossed over it.
I do. I feel bad for one of those teams that made such a commitment to go for it,
Oh my God.
to be absolutely crushed.
Yeah.
The sound you just heard, now that you alienated Vancouver, the sound you just heard was Edmonton driving off the road in anger. I feel bad for Vegas. The guys who cheated the system with a broken spleen. They're like, yeah, great.
Did you not hear Brian Burke?
I did.
They
I did.
did nothing
Oh, no,
against the
hey,
rules.
it's all above and beyond. I would never doubt Berkey.
Go back and
I listen to Berkey.
grab
But-
your podcast if you missed it and listen to Brian Burke talk about Vegas bringing back Mark Stone.
I do think Dallas probably wins that
So
series,
do I.
but I would probably prefer to see Vegas.
And
just
who's
for
your
storyline.
goalie in Vegas? Hill
Yeah.
or Logan Thompson?
Give it to the guy who won the cup.
He
Yeah,
hasn't been great either
No,
down the stretch.
no, it hasn't at all.
No, sir. And did you give a Leafs prediction? Because I got
did not.
Leafs.
I did not.
We'll say that
Leafs
to
and
Friday.
Can we?
Okay.
Say that
Yeah,
to
let's just
Friday.
get through. Let's get through the 2 Florida games and see what's left of them.
Oh, God.
You know,
Panther-
heaven forbid
on
Austin
that
takes a spill into the boards.
Oh, my
Panther,
For
God.
Sammy.
Ekblad, and Verhaeghe on track to play game 1 against the Leafs of the playoffs. There you have it.
They're that's significant
What's that? Getting those guys
for
back?
Hagee.
Yes, it's massive. He is one of those guys. Florida scored a lot of rush goals last year, kind of in transition. And he's that guy. He's scored 40 goals in a season before, so that would be bad news.
I have to give a shout out to our Montreal contingent because we ignore them completely. That second round pick, that Lane Hudson, signed with them, and he's making his debut tonight. So
There's
some
a few.
it's excitement for them. You know?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that going around the league, right? Guys are coming in off entry contracts, burning a year.
Yeah, the kid in Chicago, what's his name? Frank. Come on. Anyway, he scored yesterday, breakaway, and did like a down
Frank
the
Nazar.
bench Nazar,
Yeah.
like down the bench, like
Really?
celebration. He kind of checks himself halfway and realized it's not college anymore, I think. But I was like, man, if you're on the bench watching a kid in his first game do that, I would not have been happy about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if anybody cares anymore.
I think you can do whatever the hell you want these days. No one really gets that
I mean,
upset.
you probably should.
The only thing you can't do is do anything with an empty net near the Ottawa Senators. That's the only thing that's not allowed in hockey.
So who did Sid go after?
Oh,
Pasternak on the weekend.
Slap shot after the final
I thought
buzzer.
that was appropriate,
I did too.
right? Just
Well, if Sid does it, all good.
But
Totally
it was a
appropriate.
But he
shot
didn't
at the
but
goalie,
he
which to
didn't-
me makes
yeah,
sense, right? It's not a.
regardless, it's just about, did you disrespect us in any way, shape,
Yeah.
or form? Didn't have to go and punch him. Didn't have to go put him,
Yeah.
cross-check him or hit his head over.
Yeah.
Get
With his
suspended for
stick.
5 games, yeah. He's
Right.
never had a
It was
conversation with him.
Don't like it.
Yeah.
Don't like it. And it's noted. And it drew the appropriate attention, I think.
Yes. Fade away before we go. Ottawa Senators have 2 games left. They play tonight and tomorrow night. So going into the offseason for this franchise, I was hanging out with a friend who's a Sens fan earlier today, so I feel like asking on his behalf, what's going to happen with Ottawa this
Major
offseason?
changes.
No hesitation.
No hesitation.
To personnel, to staff.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Yep. Coach. And there'll be some interesting movement
Do you think
by
they'll
the
trade
Ottawa
a
Senators.
big name or two?
Guaranteed.
Yeah. So that'll be Steos' kind of,
Oh, yeah.
have to get
Oh,
aggressive
yeah.
on that.
He's not happy.
You know what I think the fear is from Sens fans is that Andlauer bought the team, and then this year, by not paying for Berube or whoever, worried that they're going to have an owner who is not going to spend the way, because you need to spend to compete in this league.
They're worrying about that already?
Yep,
No, I think they'll be fine.
they'll spend.
They're gonna start with a good coach.
One thing is for sure about the Ottawa Senators offseason. Their fans will scream at Leaf fans about how they've got a better future and how they got a better core going forward.
This
That is
summer
for
really wore on
sure.
you that they were like,
This is it. Here we are. Last.
you know what's crazy is they actually are 2 points ahead of Montreal, if I'm not mistaken.
Good
You
for
know.
them. What an accomplishment.
They could conceivably still sneak behind the Canadian.
Brutal.
Why don't you wait to see what happens in the next 3 weeks before you throw that one out
The
there?
Leafs
I
lose
want
the first
them.
round.
I want them
doesn't
to get
matter.
Celebrini.
It does not. It doesn't matter in terms of Sens. Like they can. Leafs have the ultimate trump card on the Sens. It's like you can make fun of the Leafs or whatever. You can talk about it. It's like the Leafs have swept them every time they played them. They swept them in the playoffs. Every time they ever played in the playoff series, beat them, epic fashion. Hasn't happened in 100 years. Have that as a slam dunk. Habs fans got tons of stuff in the Leafs. Lots of people have tons of stuff in the Leafs. Sens fans can say literally nothing. Every time they go there, it's all Leaf fans.
Oh, he is
Complete ownership of the
What a
Senators.
he is
soapbox
generating
right now.
Celebrini to the Senators. He's doing it all with those vibes.
Oh, yeah. And that's a perfect guy. They'll be like, we're finally better than the Leafs, and they'll have 76 points next year.
He's already going back to Chicago. That's the market they got to build up.
Yeah, Celebrini. You think if the league were to rig it, it'd be
him
Chicago?
and Bedard. Come on.
I like that
That's-
idea.
That's Taves Kane all over again.
Oh, now we're talking.
Then Pittsburgh will be due for their next bout of Yager, Lemieux, Crosby, Malkin. They're going to have
Yeah.
to start getting the next ones.
Maybe it's that kid that got exceptional status, the 14-year-old. I forget his name, but
Yeah, if you won't, you'll know it someday. Oh, God.
All right.
you dropped stuff.
I know, I'm a mess.
8 games on tap. We're going to get a much clearer picture this time tomorrow on what's ahead of us during the Stanley Cup playoffs in the first round. So enjoy your games, and we're back tomorrow. Our thanks to Brian Burke, in-studio guest. Tomorrow, Sammy, you got some treats for us. Who else is coming in tomorrow? What do you got going, Sammy, tomorrow? Can't wait on the Real Kipper and Bourne Show.
Big pressure.
You're going to wait.
Have a good night, everybody.